What up, guys? James from Bolt Bros here. Just kind of want to talk a little bit about a subject that's been kind of brewing up a lot here. And let's talk about Brandon Staley and compare him to what Anthony Lynn did and what got him eventually fired from the Chargers for his 4 years being with the team. So let's chat about that. Let's kind of see where he's sitting at, and we'll get into it, guys. Bolt Bros, let's go. All right, guys. So I know a lot of people have been chatting more and more about the whole Brandon Staley situation. Kind of, are we getting better? Are we getting worse? Or regressing? What are we doing here? It's a tough situation. I love Brandon Staley, and I think he's a good leader. I think he's a good coach all around. But there's a lot of signs out there that are kind of saying, "Hey, look, like our defense isn't getting any better. We got a lot more talent in this year, and guess what? We're still about the same exact defense as last year." So, is the scheme not working? Are the players not working? You would think with all the signings they did in the offseason that they have figured out the right players for Brandon Staley's system, but it doesn't seem that way. Sure, we've had plenty of injuries. I get it 100%. But at the same side, for some reason, we're still having about the same kind of season as we had last year versus this year in how our defense performs, and our offense seems to be regressing. Sure, injuries, get it 100%. But it just doesn't seem to be clicking for this team. Does something is a little off for this team? I'm not sure what it is, but the reason why I'm bringing up this video is because Anthony Lynn got fired because of all these 1 point or one score based type losses. He was just not finding a way to be able to get just that extra little bit of effort out of the offense or find an extra way to be able to win a game. And that's what ultimately got Anthony Lynn fired. I'm kind of looking at right now with currently where we're at, 7 games left into the 2022 season with Brandon Staley and getting close to the end of his second season here with the Chargers. Let's kind of compare where we're at on the one score wins to one score losses and just kind of see where we're sitting right now. So let's just talk about some of the simple facts right now and that what we're seeing with Brandon Staley. So in 2021, in one score losses, we had 5 of them. Chiefs, Vikings, Patriots, Cowboys, Raiders. That Raiders one was the end of our season. But he has also had 3 one-score wins against the Washington football team, Chiefs, and Steelers. So basically, he was 3 for 5 in one-score wins versus 5 losses, one-score losses last year in 2021. So now we're in 2022. In one-score losses, we've lost 3 so far, Chiefs twice, and Niners. So it's only been recent for us that we've been having these one-score losses, but we've had 3 wins this year in one-score wins. So Raiders, Falcons, Broncos. As a record of one-score losses, or one-score wins, 2 losses, he is currently at 6-8 right now as a coach. Brandon Staley's head coaching record right now is 14-13. Synonymous with the Chargers as an organization. We're about a 500 organization. Kind of interesting to look at that. So something to think about. We are currently 6 one-score wins to 8 one-score losses right now. Remember, going back to when Anthony Lynn got fired, he got fired because of one-score losses and having consecutive one-score losses of just not getting to that next level as a coach. So Anthony Lynn, as a head coach, he was 33-31. We're kind of going to that same level here of kind of going to that same type of trajectory as a coach. In 4 seasons, that's what Anthony Lynn's record was. He was a winning record, but only 2 games over 500. So interesting thing, kind of what we're seeing here as Anthony Lynn went and how Brandon Staley is currently trajectorying or projecting towards. So in 2017, let me actually pull this up for you guys on the screen. I just kind of want to show a little bit about where we were as a 2017 season with Anthony Lynn. This was the first year with Anthony Lynn. We just basically had a record of 9-7. We barely missed the playoffs in this one. We ended up getting in a four-way tie with the Titans, Bills, and Ravens for the two wild card spots, but Titans and Bills claimed the wild card based upon a tiebreaker. So his first year, if you think about what Brandon Staley did for his first year, he was 9-8 too. So Anthony Lynn 9-7, obviously different because we added that one extra game, that 17th game to the schedule. But it was kind of the same situation, just barely kind of there in a positive 500 record or over 500 record, but just barely missed the playoffs. Same thing happened to Brandon Staley last year, barely missed the playoffs. Now, if we go to 2018, we all remember that season. Very, very good season. Actually, let me talk about 2017 once again and going back to the subject here. What were the one score losses to one score wins? It was actually, we currently went with, one score wins, we had 3 of them. One score losses, we had 6 of them. Kind of scary, right? Kind of scary to see that. That's pretty tough. The thing with 2017, we ended the season with 4-1 to get to 9-7. So, that's kind of something that we're going to need to be able to be in contention this year for 2022 with under Brandon Staley. But basically going back on it, one score losses, we had 3 of them in his first season to 3 one score wins to 6 one score losses. So kind of an interesting idea to think about. Maybe not a lot of people look at this stat, but once again, based upon the subject, this is what Anthony Lynn got fired from. So 2018, if we all remember that season, good season for us. I remember that very, very vividly. 12-4 season, man, great season. We went to the playoffs, beat the Ravens at their home. I mean, that was a cool season. Very, very cool season for us. Loved it to death. So going back on this game in this season, this was kind of the results of the year, and this is kind of where we ended as a team. So interesting thing about this season, 12-4 season, awesome, great season. I remember very vividly talking about this season, saying, "Man, Anthony Lynn could be one of our best coaches of all time," and such a flip flop of this season for us versus 27 to 2018. One score wins, we were 5 wins. One score loss, only 1. So big difference here. All around for us, we had a much stronger season for us. We were a much more cohesive bunch during that season. Went great. I think it was a phenomenal year for us. Got that 1 win versus the Ravens in the playoffs. Ended up losing to the freaking Patriots again. So interesting season for us. Great season. Anthony Lynn's best season as his head coach. Now let's go to 2019 here. And I want to just kind of reiterate what I'm looking at here is one score wins to one score losses, what basically Anthony Lynn ended up getting fired for. So let's look at the 2019 season here. So 2019 season here, 60th anniversary logo here for this season. We went 5-11, 4th in the league here. 5-11. I mean, this is such a shift for us. Last season with Phillip Rivers, what a contrast that season ended up happening for us. So really the one thing I'll say about this season is that we went 5-11. All of our 9 losses were by 1 score. So we only had 2 one-score wins to 9 one-score losses. 9 losses. I said all of our 9 when we had 11 losses. 9 of our 11 losses were 1-score losses. This is kind of the thing that, to me, really just ended up saying, hey, this guy's not finding a way to close out games. And that was very difficult. I understand some of these losses could have been just like, hey, garbage touchdown or whatnot. But the thing is, though, there was just that ability that he could not find a way to be able to get that extra effort out of this offense or extra effort out of this defense or whatnot. It was kind of a tough season all around for us. And it was, man, constant losses after losses after losses, just barely. And it was really, really a frustrating process for us to watch. So let's go to Anthony Lynn's final season, 2020, which we drafted our current quarterback, Justin Herbert. And by luck, To be honest, I would say more not luck, but unfortunate events of having Tyrod Taylor getting his pain injection that pierced his lung, which, man, wild situation on that one. Um, Basically brought in Justin Herbert at the beginning of the week 2 against the Chiefs, shocked everybody at that point. Now, I remember that game very vividly because we all kind of were stunned, saying like, "Wow, what in the world is Justin Herbert doing on the field? Did they want this to happen? Was this by design or whatnot?" Well, it was not. But at the same side, interesting thing about this season was we went 7-9 that season. We lost six games by one score. Technically, you could say seven by one score, but it would require a 2-point conversion to tie the game versus the Dolphins. But my opinion, within this season, the nail in the coffin was this Patriots game right here, week 13. We got blown out at home 45-0. That is just unacceptable on so many levels. This year, if we go back and compare Brandon Staley, we got smoked against the Jaguars. So we kind of think that same thing. And that was at home. That was the first road game the Jaguars won since the Oakland Raiders were still around. That's a long time, guys. So if we start looking at some of those things that ended up getting Anthony Lynn fired, we're starting to see some things that could be that nail in the coffin for Brandon Staley. And I hate even saying that because I think he's a great coach. Now, once again, even if we go back to Mike McCoy, we go to Anthony Lynn, we gave them 4 years, and they were 4-year head coaches for us. So I'm not saying it's going to happen. We're only year 2 into Brandon Staley's system, Brandon Staley's offense, and everything. But we are kind of getting to those same type of trends as a team. So what I'm saying here is that Anthony Lynn ended up getting fired for basically not finding a way to close out games. And we are starting to see some of those things where we're just not finding that at all with this team. So Anthony Lynn's record as a one score win to one score losses, he was 18 for one score wins to 26 one score losses. That was almost, he lost 31 games in 4 seasons with us. That was almost every single loss for him was a one score loss. I mean, he could have been one of the best coaches that we've ever had if he was just able to get that one little extra effort out of this team. So, you know, it's a tough thing to see. Oh, and also the 2020 wins by one score, we had 5 and we had 6 one score losses. Basically, he lost his job because I think we had, if my math is correct, we had about 16 one score losses in the last 2 years. It was one full season of football, basically, that we had one score losses. That's not going to work. Now, once again, going back to Brandon Staley, he is currently at 6 one score wins to 8 one score losses. We're not finding that way of having consecutive one score losses yet, up till basically these last 2 weeks against the Chiefs and the Niners, one score losses. We hope that that's not going to happen anymore. We hope to be able to see Brandon Staley find a way to be able to get things going. Now, we have so many different excuses out there. I get it 100%, but we are seeing some trends that are very, very similar here. On top of this little subject that I'm chatting about, our defense doesn't seem to be getting any better. Our offense seems to be regressing. Second half offense play calling has been terrible. Our defense is just not finding ways to stop anybody. It just seems like we're just letting everybody run all over us and find ways to be able to get yards after catch after us and just not playing very cohesive football. So there are things that we'll see different reasons to what happens if Brandon Staley was to be let go. But I did want to just emphasize why Anthony Lynn got fired was for one score losses and seeing how Brandon Staley currently is having that same type of issue. So I just wanted to throw this out there, guys. What's your guys' thoughts on this? Do you think that it would be kind of the reason because of one score losses, or do you think it'll just be performance of the team all around? So I just want to hear from you guys. Like, subscribe, comment. Love talking to you guys, my guys. Bolt up, guys. Once again, let's go.